breaking news here on SportsCenter. Sources tell our Adam Schefter the Texans are signing defensive end Will Anderson to a 3-year, $150 million extension that makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. The deal includes $134 million guaranteed and no trade clause. The 24-year-old finished his third season as the runner-up to Myles Garrett for Defensive Player of the Year. Now, as mentioned, Anderson will now lead all non-quarterbacks in average salary per year. He will make over $3 million in a year, more than the Packers defensive end Micah Parsons. The top 3 players on the list are now pass rushers, with Seahawks Jackson Smith and Jigba the top offensive player after his recent extension.
Speaking of money in the bank,
breaking news out of the NFL, Texans and All-Pro defensive end Will Anderson Jr. have agreed to a record 3-year, $150 million deal. That's the latest from our lead NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. That deal made him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, including 134 of that guaranteed. Anderson had a career-high 12 sacks last season, led the league with a 21% pressure rate. His new contract will keep him signed in Houston through the 2030 season, and he clears Micah Parsons there by a few $1 million. I'm Tommy Tran with our NFL analyst, Lige Dusable. Dews, what do you think about the Will Anderson Texans extension?
Tommy, boy, does it pay to rush the passer, and I love it. You know my saying, Double T, the league is run by passers and pass rushers, guys that can throw the ball down the field and guys that prevent guys from throwing the ball down the field. And to me, this is good business by the Houston Texans. You go back 3 years ago when they drafted Will Anderson, they had to trade up to the number 3 overall pick right after they took C.J. Stroud. And this has been a culture-changing piece for them on that side of the football. He was dominant. First team All-Pro last year, 12 sacks. And Tommy, I love guys that just don't rush the passer. He's a complete 3-down player. He can get after you in the run game as well. He had 20 tackles for loss last year. So this was great business done. And again, boy, does it pay to rush the passer.
Is he worth being the highest paid non-quarterback in your eyes?
He is. This is where the market is. The next guy usually gets the tag of being the next highest paid. And when you look at it, he's only 24 years old. Tommy, we were talking about this off camera. He's going into the last year of his rookie deal. They'll tack on these 3 years after that. So after this 3-year deal, he'll only be about 28 years old. So this is all a projection, right? His first year, he had 7 sacks. His second year, he had 11 sacks. His third year, he had 12 sacks. So they're looking at this trajectory of Will Anderson being dominant, being a first-team All-Pro. And they're like, if we're the Houston Texans, let's get ahead of this because the market is only going to get higher. We saw Micah Parsons making upwards to $46.5 million. Now Will Anderson is making $50. If they had waited and he went out there and had a 13, 14 sack season with another double-digit tackle for loss season, then they probably would have had to pay him upwards to $53 million a year. So I thought this was good business by the Houston Texans. And they've done a really good job of doing business early. With their other defensive end, Daniil Hunter, the last 2 years, they've given him 1-year extension so he doesn't have to go into the season on a contract year. So they're staying ahead of these contracts to keep this team together to make a run. Let's see if that offense can put it together because we know down in and down out, that defense led by Will Anderson is going to show up.
So along that vein, let's revisit what you talked about and highlighted, which was the 23 draft for Houston, right? A historic one in which they had 2 picks in the top 5. Naturally, it took C.J. Stroud second overall. Then they were outside of the top 10. Trade with the Cardinals to 3 to take Will Anderson Jr. Other moves Nick Caserio's made to get him, like Daniil Hunter, a running mate there to pass the rusher, pass the quarterback there. What has stood out to you about that draft, which has led to 3 straight playoff appearances for Houston?
Tommy, that was a franchise-changing draft. And we saw what C.J. Stroud did his rookie year, and now everybody's hoping he can get back to what he did his rookie year. Hasn't played up to that standard as of yet, but they got their 2 players, one on offense and one on defense, that they could build their culture around with DeMeco Ryans as head coach. And nobody had this team making the playoffs that first year, but because of these culture changers in C.J. Stroud and also Will Anderson Jr., they were able to change the culture and make the playoffs in his first year, and they've made the playoffs every year since after that. So to me, I love that they were aggressive. They loved the guy. They loved him enough to move up. Like you said, they were outside of the top 10, so they didn't have to give up too much to move right outside the top 10 to move up to the number 3 pick. But they circled their guy. They got their guy that was the culture changer. And because they got Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud, they've been able to have sustained success of getting to the divisional round in 3 consecutive years. Now it's all about getting over that hump, getting into that AFC Championship game, and getting into the Super Bowl.
Do you think they get there? What chance do you give Houston, given locking up their star pass rusher ahead of this new season?
So the defense wasn't the issue, Tommy. Again, they're going to show up, play in, and play out. What I love what Nick Caserio has done is he's kind of fixed this offensive line. Ed Ingram had a career year last year. They brought him back, right? They have more depth on that side of the ball. They got their right tackle this year in free agency. They brought back Trent Brown, who's going to be their swing tackle, where last year they didn't have the depth up front. Now they have the subsequent depth. I believe they brought in Evan Brown, who's going to be another guy that could be your swing guard. So they have starting caliber guys as backups this year, where they couldn't say that last year. For the longest, the issue has been the offensive line. People will point to C.J. Stroud, but the thing is, when your clock is sped up as a quarterback, it often makes you play sped up, and then you make errant throws. Well, now with subsequent depth up front, I think C.J. Stroud will be a lot more comfortable. And also something that wasn't talked about enough last year, Double T, the missing of Joe Mixon was massive for this offense. They go and trade for David Montgomery, who is that sledgehammer-type running back. He's going to be the guy to steer the ship. And you see from 2023 to 24 and 25 what C.J. Stroud's numbers have been. They've been regressing in the wrong direction. But I think getting a guy like David Montgomery to steer the ship, to be more balanced on offense, will help this offense along with the additions on the offensive line. I like their chances to be a team to push for the AFC Championship.
There's a look at that 23 draft. Again, Stroud 2, Will Anderson 3, and that was all centered around Bryce Young going first overall to the Carolina Panthers. And that was another trade to revisit with the Chicago Bears on a different day, a different time. All right, do certainly appreciate it. Thanks for hopping on with Instant Reaction.
Running back, Jahmyr Gibbs back with us, having just touched down in Vegas, massive wrestling fan. Jahmyr, we saw you at Mania last year. We've seen you dress up as Jeff Hardy for Halloween. What made you fall in love with WWE?
I don't know. When I was like, I think 7 or 8, I think it was really my uncle. I think he was like a big Kofi Kingston fan. So he really got me into watching it. And ever since then, it just took off.
You're in Vegas for WrestleMania 42. It's over 2 nights. Which match on this show this weekend gets you the most hype?
I got Roman Reigns and CM Punk.
Why is that? What stands out about it?
Just like the build up, the hype around it, and Roman is my favorite. My favorite right now. So one's up to the sky. You already know.
Well, if you didn't get a chance on First Take this morning, they were both going back and forth, kind of continuing that narrative going up to the match.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Listen,
that's great.
I'm not trying to raise Brad Holmes' blood pressure. This is a hypothetical. But if you could join forces with anybody at this WrestleMania this weekend, whether in the corner or hell in the ring, who are you teaming up with?
Roman Reigns, like off rip.
So what are you going to do? Would you want to get in the ring and help him? I mean, you got a lot of athletic skill set, obviously.
Oh yeah, anything he need help with, yeah, I got him. GT guy. He played with my position coach when back there at Tech too. So pretty cool.
Yeah, people see you as an Alabama alumnus, but you spent your first couple of years at Georgia Tech before transferring to Tuscaloosa. And while we're talking,
I claim both. Yeah.
Tag teams, right?
Yeah.
I got to bring it up. Sonic and Knuckles separated. You and David Montgomery had the most games by any running back duo in which both guys scored a touchdown in NFL history. And we saw your Instagram story with the misty-eyed Sonic and Knuckles when he was traded to Houston. How different has this part of your offseason been with him no longer on the same team as you?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't so off season, like we've been together. I think I've seen like 3 times. So I mean, usually I don't really see him. I probably see him once or twice in the off season. So I mean, it's pretty much the same. It's really gonna hit when we go back to like OTAs and all that. So we're gonna see.
Well, again, it's not like the cupboard's barren. Maybe Isaiah Pacheco can be tails if we had Sonic and Knuckles. He signed with the Lions last month. When OTAs start and you got a new running mate in your backfield, how do you build that immediate chemistry needed in what projects to be another very tough year in the NFC North?
Well, I mean, I don't know because it's my first time. So, I mean, I've been with Demo ever since, I got there. I've seen he's pretty much of a, outgoing guy. He's not like how I am. So, I was quiet and like being to myself and stuff. The position group, like I said, like we got close and all that. So it really, brought it out of me, to be, naturally who I am. I think Isaiah's not like that. I think he talks and like he's going to be energetic and all that. From what I've seen. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool.
And while we're talking about the Lions, Dan Campbell, it seems like if he needed to, he could hold his own on a microphone in that squared circle. Yeah, big old Texan.
Oh yeah.
You see a side of him that we don't. How would he fit as a pro wrestler?
He'd be great. I got Kane 2002 vibes.
With the flames and all that.
Yeah, don't even gotta say nothing. Just come in and do his thing.
Yeah, but when he has to say something, he can, right? And that's a huge part of this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I give that. I think it's my skills would be, let's see. Give somebody, I guess, like Triple H DX, like something like that. Like,
see, now you're talking my era. We could go all day about this, but you got a busy schedule. You just touched down in Vegas. Before we let you go, your new tattoo, it's gotten a lot of buzz on social media. This is a full back canvas. What was the process like of both planning it and actually getting it on your body?
Yeah, so at first I had something else in mind. I still had my last name as Sonic at the top, but I had something else other than, the cross and, the portraits. Then like the last day or the 2 days before, I was like, wait, scratch it. Like, I want something else. And I just like picked that up and then just ran with that.
How long were you in the chair to get all that done?
Like 10 hours, 10 or 11.
Oh, bless. Well, yeah. Hey, we are just over 24 hours from WrestleMania. Jahmyr Gibbs, we appreciate you taking some of your time from your offseason to join us. And one more message for Brad Holmes. If he gets in the ring, it wasn't me. It was all Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Jahmyr, enjoy Mania, man.
Appreciate it.